When I learn to communicate better, my business grows. And when my business grows, more people get impacted. So, and part of it is this, like, can I make money on this heart-led thing? Am I allowed to charge my worth? Am I allowed to build this business in this for-profit way and not feel terrible about it? And these are sorts of like the things that we can unfold and unpack and figure out together in a beautiful, intentional way.
Quick announcement. I do have space for private mentorship. These are very customizable containers, depending on what your needs are, what you desire my support in, whether that's some combination of entrepreneurship, of motherhood, of energy healing. And really, I think it's safe to say all of my private support containers have a heavy dose of energy healing. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. We will work through that in the container. So if this is something that you're interested in, just reach out to me. You can DM me on Instagram, or you can send me an email at Nichole@NicholeJoy.com, and let's set up a time to talk. We'll see if it's a good fit and then how I can best help you, whether that's private mentorship or some other space. All right, welcome everybody. And quick announcement before we get started. I'm super excited to share this. It's something that we've been talking about kind of behind the scenes for some time, but it's officially going public as of now. I am co-facilitating with this group of incredible birth workers, a Birthworker Retreat in January. So January 22nd, 23rd, 24th in Clearwater, Florida. It's called Birthworker Retreat. Our tagline, mind, body, business. So this is not going to be a doula training per se, or like clinical retreat where you're learning how to do spinning babies or any other things like that. This is focused on nourishing the entrepreneur, and focused on, really, my vision is that it will be very healing and very centered in helping you get grounded in 2024 and really set the vision for yourself, for your business, surrounded by a group of other birth workers. Okay. And I want to introduce you to everybody who's going to be here with me. So I'm just going to kind of go around our little circle. We're here on Zoom again, hanging out. So off to my left, first is Kaitlin. So Kaitlin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Caitlin McGreyes. I'm a doula and I'm the founder of Be Her Village. And I am so excited for this because I want to hug every single person I've been on Zoom with for the past 3 to 4 years. There's just absolutely nothing like being in person, and the energetic exchange and the brainstorming and the growth and the fire that starts to happen when we are magnetized to each other in a room and we are in this space where there's no distractions, there's no kids, there's no clients, there's no nothing. It's just, hey, let's put our energy into this place together. Let's grow our businesses. Let's set our goals. And as Darcy said, she's going to have her intro. Let's have a margarita in our hand while we do it. So that's the vibe. It is like, birth boss and relaxation and really connecting to ourselves. And I cannot wait to get on the beach with all of you.
Agreed.
Yes. Thank you, Caitlin. Darcy, we would love to hand you the floor.
All right. So I am the doula Darcy, and I am a doula business coach up here in New Hampshire. And one of my core values of my business is that I get out of New Hampshire in the winter for when I'm not skiing. So I am so excited to head to Florida for January. And I think it gets easier to work on your business when you're not in your business. And it's easier to work on your business and expanding your view and your goal when you're looking at the ocean. So I'm really excited. I've been doing this for the past couple of years just on my own, just taking little retreats, but I'm excited to kick it up a notch with all of you and then all of the other birth workers who will be in attendance. And for me, it's the fish tacos, it's the margaritas, it's this early morning walks on the beach and the sunshine. And as Kaitlin said, oh my gosh, yes, hugging all these people I've only ever met on Zoom. I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you. Me too. Okay, Jodi.
Hi, my name is Jodi Congdon. I own Hip to Heart, a birth and postpartum doula agency up in the Boston area. So I'm just south of Darcy. And I'm also a postpartum doula trainer. So I feel like in doing that, I've learned that the business piece of all of this is something that is missing for a lot of doulas. And, your doula skills only take you so far. So I love the fact that we are focusing so much on the business piece and, talking about just building and designing your business so it aligns with your life as your life evolves and our lives evolve. I mean, I know my life evolves. Literally, it changes every single month, I mean, it's crazy. And I've designed my business to evolve with it. So I think it's so important to always have that connection with your business and your life and your family and everything else that, you know, goes along with it. So it's really just this smooth kind of evolution. And I think all of us feel that way. And we can't wait to share it with all of the other birth workers that are going to come down and see us. And like you guys all said, I feel like I know everyone who we see on Zoom and are in all these groups with, but like we've never actually met. So I can't wait to see real faces and hug real people for the first time in a really long time.
Thank you. Same. I should also mention, I forgot to say it at the beginning, that I think I may have been a mermaid in a past life. And so when I'm in the ocean, I just feel so at home. And if you have not done an ocean soak, well, January might be a little cold for my Florida bones, but all of my northern friends like come and enjoy an ocean soak because you get, I feel like you just have next level clarity, and the ocean, the beach, the sand is all incredibly healing. And I think sometimes that's another component that we miss, right? Like we're focused on building the business, which is an important part. And then the healing component, the healing for entrepreneurship is really, really huge. And it has been big for me. So I'm excited about that. And I really must inform you that because of the capacity of the space that we have, so we're going to be in Clearwater, we're going to be at a resort on Clearwater Beach, and the space that we have reserved and earmarked for our group has a max number of people. So some of us have already privately shared the link to a few of our friends. And so as of right now, there are only 34 tickets remaining. So this is something that time is of the essence because we are actually limited with capacity.
When you said ocean soak, like I envision it as a reset, like just clarity, but also like, you know, you're starting like from zero, like you are starting fresh now. And then, you know, we all take this, we all go home and we start from this place of like newness is the word that's coming to me. It's probably not even a word, but help me with this word, a place of like, I don't know, newness. I'm going to say
newness is definitely a word, by the way, Jodi.
Oh, is it? Okay. If it's not, I just made one up.
I love it. Yeah, I feel like I'm sitting here and like I'm in my tank top and it's June in New York and it's beautiful and it's like, oh, Florida sounds nice, but let me just like remind all of us what we just went through. Let's just remember the cold months. Let's remember the holidays and the exhaustion and the overwhelm, and then this sort of like hope and renewal that January brings. And this idea that we can then meet in person and we can meet in this beautiful, warm, outdoor, nature-filled location. It's spend time on ourselves after we have given to everyone, right? During the holiday season, we're giving and giving and giving and giving. And it's time to sort of like reclaim for ourselves 2024 and what 2024 will be for our business. And I think it's going to be a really beautiful thing for that New Year's celebration and our gift to ourselves. But I also think it's a recovery from the really difficult past 4 years that we've all been through. We have collectively been through an incredibly traumatic time. And I think we're finally sort of starting to come out of that. And it's going to be a beautiful thing to meet in person, to share air, to share touch, and to share ideas and creativity and to create something brand new. And like, who knows who we're going to be? I don't even know who I'm going to be next week. Who knows who we're going to be in 2024?
The evolution, I mean, is constant.
Yeah. And there's always just something so energizing about gathering with other birth workers. Any coffee date, any group doula tea
I go to than everybody else.
I know, but I always leave like energized and motivated and ready to go forth. So I can't wait to imbue that with January energy and the ocean and just work together to set our goals for 2024, our vision individually and collectively. I just think it's going to be really powerful.
Yes, and I think as doulas, we're such fillers for other people's cups. So it's going to be so incredible that everyone's filling each other. Like, nobody's taking, everybody's giving. So it's just going to be like giving all around.
Yes. And I feel like we're part of it. And I don't want to like go too deep into it, but I feel like for myself, Nichole, when you say, yeah, it's business and it's healing, the personal growth that I have fuels my business. When I learn to communicate better, my business grows. And when my business grows, more people get impacted. So And part of it is this, like, can I make money on this heart-led thing? Am I allowed to charge my worth? Am I allowed to build this business in this for-profit way and not feel terrible about it? And these are sorts of like the things that we can unfold and unpack and figure out together in a beautiful, intentional way. And we can collectively address these issues that are sort of unique to birth workers, because insurance salesmen are not having these conversations about whether we're allowed to make money and allowed to think about flourishing. And as birth workers, it's a really unique thing that many of us face, is this challenge of, how do I grow my business in this ethical way, in a way that actually amplifies my impact? And that is the sort of thing that we're going to be talking about in between our morning yogas and our afternoon margaritas.
Somebody asked me a question like last month, and I jotted it down as a topic that I wanted to have on the conversation, a conversation I wanted to have on the podcast. It was a question, I can't remember exactly verbatim, but it was very much what you're saying. Somebody asked me on Instagram, do you think it would have been possible to build a sustainable, lucrative, real business doing virtual birth support? Or do you think that the only reason you perhaps felt success is kind of the way I was perceiving the message was because you offered some other services like business building services? And it was really profound to me, because this is an example for me of what it looks like, experience healing and how that can impact and help you grow your business. Because when I see a question like that, underneath that question, what I see is that perhaps there's some doubt. There's some doubt behind what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're offering. And I choose to believe that you can sell or offer or build a business around any single thing that you desire. There's literally a YouTuber who makes YouTube videos. I don't know her name and I don't watch it, but I've heard of her, who is making a very nice living, YouTube videos where she does makeup, like Get Ready With Me, but it's like themes of like horror movies. So it's like this combo of like horror movies and makeup. Oh, do you think if you were to ask many business coaches, like, would I be able to make money doing my makeup and talking about horror flicks? A lot of older school, and traditional business models would be like, no, that's ridiculous. Get your head out of here. Like that's not going to work. And then right. And then you have like a whole slew of women who, like sell their underwear on OnlyFans, right? And like, no judge, but like, could you imagine? So I think like underneath that question, there's some hesitation and a little bit of underlying doubt. And what the healing looks like as an example of like, what do we mean when we say like healing for your business? It's like, well, let's go and address that, because that is one of those old beliefs of like, would this be possible? And if you hold on to a belief like that of like questioning and doubting, then that perhaps is what you're going to experience is doubt and the result of having that doubt.
And then there's also a lot of fear underneath that question too. And I think the easiest way to get over that fear is, and I've been talking about this a lot lately, is putting yourself in rooms where people are doing the kind of things you want to do and having the kind of business you want to have. It's like that quote about dressing for the job, you want to have, like dress up a level from where you're currently working. So it's like, put yourself in rooms up a level. So, hey, come hang out in Florida with a big group of successful birth workers who are doing it. Who you hang out with is a direct reflection of what you're doing on your own. So I think that's going to be another really powerful aspect of this.
Who holds that unwavering belief, right? Like I have an unwavering belief in whatever it is that we choose to do. Like if you want to sell this, if you want to do that, if you want your offers to look like this, if you are fully behind it, energetic, if you are fully in it, and you have not necessarily like, you don't have to be fearless, right? Like you can still have fear, but like, okay, how do I dance with the fear and just like, F it. I'm still behind it, even though I'm scared, right? Like I'm still going to do it, even though I'm a little bit afraid. And you're surrounding yourself with people who move like that, because that's how we are vibrating. And when you're in a room like that, right? Like you are tuning into people's vibration. It's like that example I've given so many times of the rotten orange in the bowl. We can now eat a lot of cuties during the summer. They're just so easy and healthy and all that. But if you have, just last week, I opened the bag and there's like one cutie that's going rotten. And if you don't catch it and get that out of the bag quickly, all the cuties will start to rot, all the ones around it. But the opposite is true as well. Like you have these bright, shining cuties and the rest of them feel brighter and shinier, right? And so it's not to say like better or worse, like we're better or whatever than anybody else, but like the way that we're vibrating and the beliefs that we hold about what's possible, you get around people like that. And then you start to believe that shit's possible for you too. And it changes things. And that's the point of like healing. And yeah, like Darcy's saying, being in the room with people is like to take yourself to the next level, but you have to be willing to do that.
Right.
You have to get on the plane and put yourself in those rooms. It's like you got even just the fear, the risk of that is another piece of it.
But I think also physically seeing other people that are successful and who have something that you wish to have or wish to be like is very contagious. When you see someone else did it, you say, I can do it. Like there is no doubt in my mind. There is no reason, you did it, I can do it, and whatever it is. But I think if you don't surround yourself with those people and you don't see those people and you don't listen to those people, then you never kind of catch that. Like it has to be sort of tangible in a way because it is contagious.
Absolutely.
Let's take a moment for a quick commercial break. So I want to share with you HoneyBook. If you have not been using HoneyBook in your service-based business, well, let me tell you that this thing is like simplified my life. HoneyBook is a client relationship management system. So inside of it, they had me at, when you're picking the options of what your profession is, they had me at doula was an option. I was like, hello. I signed up for HoneyBook a few years ago. It beats the other CRM system that I was looking at. It starts with a D, ends with an O. It beats it like by far for me. I found that one way too clunky and tricky to navigate. And I'm in the online business space. You would think that I'm super techie and I'm really into like able to do all of these techie things. I'm actually not. I need it very, very simple to start. And then I can build on it. HoneyBook is something that has made it so simple. So when I am working with new clients, there's contract templates, there's agreement templates, there's onboarding questionnaires. I mean, anything you can imagine that you need in a CRM system is there. Click the link in the show notes. They generally have free trials that you can test it out. That's my affiliate link. I hope you enjoy using HoneyBook as much as I do. I think I've been in it 3 years strong. Okay, back to the episode.
Absolutely. And really what I'm hearing all of you saying is this word that just keeps like vibrating in my head, expansiveness. Like you're coming to Florida for this feeling of expansiveness. And you don't know, and I don't even know how we will expand, right? Will our businesses expand? Will our emotional growth expand? Will we connect with people who are in the exact same stage that we're in? And will we grow something together? But this idea of what could be possible being expanded for us in a room with other people that have either shown us the way or are about to embark on some piece of this journey can be incredibly valuable. And that's what I'm excited about. Even as a facilitator for this, I'm excited for my own expansion. We're all going to be challenged. We're all going to grow together. And it's really, really exciting to put intention into this. Because the one thing that I've seen in my business and in my life, really, but life and business are really hard to separate, is that where you put the energy, it returns to you. And it's kind of the wildest thing when that happens, because I can take an action for my business that's completely internal, and then it will come back to me. Like there was one time where we said, oh, we should get on more podcasts. We should tell more people about Be Her Village on podcasts. And the next day, this monster podcast reached out to us and said, hey, I found you guys. Do you want to be on the podcast? There's this thing that happens. It's a little magical. I don't know if I get it really, but where you put your energy and where you turn your attention and pour, where you water your garden, that is where things bloom. And so when we're talking about this Birthworker Retreat, it's like, it's so much more than laying on the beach, although I'm going to be laying on the beach at some point, to be clear. It is really about like, where are we putting our money, putting our energy, putting our time, and putting our intention into our own businesses to grow? And what do we want to attract through that? And I don't even know the answer. And I kind of can't wait to find out what happens for everybody and what this sparks and what comes out of this retreat. It's really going to be one of those things that the magic happens in the room, and you have to be in the room to get it. There's no recording, right? Like we all have done the I'm going to sign up for this webinar. I'm going to sign up for this call, and I'm going to definitely watch that recording. Nobody ever watches the recording. And there is no recording for this because the magic is what happens in the room and in those exchanges. And My favorite thing I think I might be excited about is like what happens outside of the sessions in those in-between times, in those things that you cannot have happen in a Zoom call because you can't schedule in like the bumping in or the incidental or the side conversations and these things that just the beautiful interactions that happen 1,000 times when you're in a collective room with a bunch of other people that are there for the exact same reason that you are.
And I'm so glad. I think, at some point we were toying with a different space that was not attached to the hotel. And I'm so glad we have space where people can walk up to their rooms together, walk down to get coffee together, have so much time where they're, just like you said, bumping into each other in the elevator, where they can spark these side conversations, which could lead to side projects or collaborations, or, just people who are now connected that weren't before, that can be accountability buddies, or just so much. Anything can happen because we're going to be in such close proximity with each other for such an extended period of time. But the little pockets, I think, are the big ones.
Darcy said something too about like getting on the plane. And I wanted to bring something into that because for all the doulas who have young children, I know like I have young children and it's incredibly hard to get on a plane and go places, right? There's so much logistics and figuring out who's going to watch all these children and make sure they get this and go to here and right? And then there's like sometimes a lot of guilt. And so I want to speak to that because I just went on a trip. I shared on the podcast like this recently about going to London, right? And I had not been away from the kids in 4 years. The last time I went on a retreat, I actually went on a retreat in September of 2019. So it had been almost 4 years since I'd been away from the kids. And even back then, I used to have such anxiety before I left to go anywhere. And I had only been on a couple of retreats away from the kids, maybe 2, but every time I had a lot of guilt and anxiety of like, oh my God, can I actually do this? And it would last all the way until like I got on the plane. Once the plane would take off and we were comfortably in the air, I was like, and I can tell you after I went on 2 retreats pre-2020, and then I went out of town last month and away from my children. I never once have regretted it. They were actually okay. And when I asked my community to give me advice, like send me some happy words to help me before I get on this flight last month, that's what kept coming up was like, it is important for you to fill your cup because your kids will feel that. You have to fill your cup. It's really tricky to show up as a nourished mother if you're not a nourished mother. You have to prioritize nourishing yourself, and birth workers are out here preaching to all of your mothers who are your clients about nourishing themselves.
You have to doula yourself.
You have to nourish you because otherwise, like your kids are watching, they're going to do what you do. They're going to embody it. And if you are like living this martyr version of motherhood where you're like, wah, wah, I don't go anywhere because I don't want to feel guilty, they're going to feel that. And like, that's not helpful to your clients. It's not helpful to your children or like, hello to you.
As a mom, when you go on a trip like that, your kids expand too. They expand into new levels of growth. They have new experiences with your partner or with their grandparents or whoever. And they like, I'm always floored. My kids are teenagers, so I've left them a bunch. But even now, still, I'm always floored. Like when I come home and I'm like, you all are different. You've grown a little bit.
Appreciate you more when you come home because they're like, it was bad without you. Like, I mean, I was my whole family everywhere. And this is the first time where I'm not bringing anybody. I've always brought the kids to every conference, every convention, everything just to have them close to me. So this is new.
I know. So I just did a retreat last March, actually in Florida, and it was 3 days, no kids. Like kind of halfway through, I turned and I looked at one of my friends and I was like, I have just like, it wasn't like quote unquote working, but just mentally, I got so much done on my business. And I was like, what is it? And then I thought, my kids aren't here. I'm not cooking. I'm not shopping. I'm not like, take out all those mom skills. And I was like, it's like I have 6 extra hours in the day to think about myself and my business. And it's magical.
It's amazing. I am such a better mother when I remove myself from my children in any capacity. And it's wonderful. And there is totally guilt wrapped up in it. There's brief guilt, very brief.
But you get better at it the more you do it.
Yeah. And I remember like I went to Florida recently too. And I got on the plane and it was like, oh, I miss them, which I have to tell you, I don't miss them at all when they're near me and need me. And I feel torn in 7 different directions and I'm managing everybody's needs except my own. I'm like the worst at that. Do as I say, not as I do. Go be her village and get your support and do all of that. I'm doing none of that for myself. And this retreat is partially for that. It's because I won't do it until I plan it. And I invite everybody else to come and do it too. But we have to walk the walk.
Yeah.
Really important thing for people, I think, based on what you just said, to hear is it is going to be that much easier to market, sell, and help your people because you will have done it, and you're going to be so much more invested in the importance of doing, like, nourishing yourself, that you're going to be like, that's just another level, another layer.
It's the lived experience, right? If you want to try to sell care for mothers, then you have to be the cared for mother, so that you can talk about what that feels like and what that entails and what it looks like. Because I can't tell you how many doulas I see running around like crazy. Their cups are completely empty. They're fully booked. They're saying no to nobody. They're undercharging. They're just giving, and they're burnt out. And that's why so many people leave the profession so quickly, is because they're burnt out.
The sole purpose of the Birthworkers Retreat is exactly what you just said. First, see the importance of it, but then actually do the refilling. So this is everything. Everything that you just said is exactly why this is happening.
Yes. And that's why when we first got together to talk about this, it's like, all right, we need the relaxation. We are building it into the schedule. It's not an add-on. It's part of the entire experience. It's relax and grow your business, and relax and grow your business, because the way you grow your business is by filling your cup and restoring yourself. How can you show up and expand into your business if you are running on empty? It's not possible.
You have to schedule in these things. Like, I sometimes in my calendar put in lunch. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So we are scheduling in your relaxation. We are scheduling in your refilling, all of those things. So it can't not happen. It's on the schedule. Mandatory rest. It's like with your clients. Sometimes I'll be like, you're going to go in your room and I'm going to shut the door and you're not coming out until I tell you to. Like, it's like, you're being in I'm giving you a timeout, but it's like, if I don't give you permission to rest for an hour, it's never going to happen.
I always joke as a yoga teacher, it's like people are paying to come and tell you to lay in Shavasana. It's like you need that permission. Like, I'm laying down because the yoga teacher said it. There's a great story. I think it's about Monet, who was laying in a lawn chair on a sunny, beautiful day, eyes closed, and his neighbor was like, "What are you doing? Like, it's Wednesday." And Monet said, "I'm working." And then a couple days later, Monet was out in his garden painting, and his neighbor walked by and said, "Oh, it's good to see you finally working." And Monet said, "No, I'm playing." And I think, like,
chills, Darcy. Chills.
I think who knows if it's true, but it's a good, and
it's true now.
I think of it all the time when I get my best ideas in the shower, or when I'm out on a run, or when
you don't have anywhere to write it down.
When I'm not working, when I'm just relaxing and thinking, and it's a very important part.
It's always like late at night where you have no pad, no paper, like you grab your phone, put it in notes, or like in the shower where these profound things come to you and you're just like, I say I'm going to remember it, but I never do.
Right. But if you keep yourself in a constant state of busy, you never get that.
Yes.
Right. I think the final thing I'll say for anybody who is thinking, I want to go, but like, I get tired. I don't know if I can handle all of it. I don't know if do I have to be on? Do I have to go to everything? Like, it's all entirely optional. If you just want to sit in the sand while we're in the meeting room here and there, if you want to pop in and grab a coffee and leave, if it's entirely your schedule, right? Nothing is required. I hope that you want to come to all of the sessions. We're not overpacking you with stuff, but I hope you want to be there and know that, like, you're probably not the only one who worries about stuff like that. There's some of us who get really exhausted really easily, and that's okay. We've already kind of been like talking about who stays up late versus who's the grannies of the room. And I'm happy to say that I'm like the baby granny in here. And so none of it's required, all optional, and would love to have you for any part of it that you want to be there.
And not a terrible idea to book a night or two after the retreat so that you can fully recover. You know how you go on vacation, you need a vacation from your vacation. You can build that in for yourself also, because anything can be. And that's sort of the vibe here. I love that, Nichole.
The spas, all the things. We will do a little investigative work pre-retreat so we can let you know where to go post-retreat.
Yes. I'll share the link in the show notes. So there's the link to get your retreat ticket, and also a separate link to book your room.
Beautiful.
All right.
Can't wait to see you all in Florida.
So excited.
Me too.
See you soon.
Bye.
thank you so much for taking time out of your day and listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found value in what I'm sharing here. And if you did, can you do me a little favor and go and rate and review this episode? I will share a link in the show notes so that it's really easy to rate and review this podcast. It would mean a lot to me, as this is truly a passion project. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next week.